Christmas game early, gentlemen. Carolina, book yourself future CFP spots and bar the sorority hall doors. Bill Belichick is coming to town. I won't believe it until I see the hoodie on the sideline. It just seems unreal that they actually pulled this off, that he wanted to go. We have discussed that we think it can work in terms of getting players because of the way things go. You can listen to last episode's long discussion of that if you're looking for more Bill Belichick content. We're just ahead of the game. We're ahead of the game. But I'm interested, particularly talking to you, Ross. Ross was just in Las Vegas where they have the National Football Foundation and some awards, and the chattering class of college football likes to get together and talk and talk and talk and talk.
And lament and decry and complain.
This is where many bad ideas are hatched from, these little cocktail parties. But I am intrigued to hear what the chattering class was saying as this became real.
I'll say the first couple of days I was there, when, it was just kind of buzz and it wasn't official, there was, more questions about it than anything else. Except maybe the house case. That was a pretty big topic too. But other than that, it was this. And in the last day, obviously, in the last few hours of the event, really the last 2 hours maybe, it became official. And there was definitely one word to describe it, Dan, would be just disbelief. It was stunning enough where people really didn't believe it. There weren't very many coaches, or none at all, at the forum that happens around the National Football Foundation event, the SBJ forum. But there were athletic directors there, plenty of them. And most of them expressed disbelief in it. What? Is that real? Did that happen? No. That's the responses. But then there's another part of this, because they are athletic directors, and many of them know the athletic director at North Carolina, Bubba Cunningham. And it's been made pretty public how the search went, how this coaching search went, and that perhaps Bubba Cunningham didn't necessarily make the decision solely by himself, that there was board intervention. And so that was also a topic of discussion, as you might expect from athletic directors.
Did they think it was going to work? Forget Bubba's feelings. Did they think?
I don't know that anybody. I don't know that anybody really knew or knows. I think I think most of them probably lean toward such shock, Dan, that they didn't even go to the next step, which is this going to work? They were just so shocked and shell-shocked. There were plenty, as they were leaving, that again were like, is this done? Is this real? Did this really happen? And I had to tell them, yes, it's official, they're about to announce it. And there was just a shell shock. So and the coaches through text messages, right? Between, and I'm sure you guys got the text messages from coaches. I think things sent to me like crazy, insane, wow, whoa. It's just a disbelief in general across the college football landscape.
Yeah, they've broken every paradigm and precedent in doing this, and that's the part of the fascination of this, is that this is something I wrote. I said it's the most stunning hire in college football history. And I don't think there's precedent. People have brought up Bill Walsh going back to Stanford, but that's keywords there, back to. He had been at Stanford. He had been a college coach. This was also a place that was familiar to him and a region that was familiar to him. Bill Belichick is taking himself out of his life's work and going to a completely different realm of it, a different geography, a different mindset, different everything. and doing this. And again, I'm totally bullish on it. I think this is a potentially great move, and I think the reward outweighs the risk of this going badly, which could happen. But I have heard from a lot of people who can't seem to kind of get their mind, Dan, out of the concept of what a conventional college football coach does, which is to go out and to eat mama's meatloaf and tell daddy they're going to take care of their boy and go sit in the high school coach's office. And that's not going to happen. He's not going to do that. He doesn't have to do that, at least in theory. We'll see if it works. He's going to recruit differently. He's going to roster build differently. He's going to be, I think, much more in line with where things are going and where we've seen things going. He's going to work the portal. And again, this is not somebody who is averse to grinding tape on prospects and player development and seeing how that guy could possibly fit in my system. He's done that and did that, I think, largely well at the NFL level. So I think he's going to translate his skills to a college level, and you don't take his approach isn't going to be the Mac Brown approach. It might be about the same age, but they're going to do the job very differently. So I think I've seen a lot of people and heard from a lot of people who don't seem to really be appreciating the fact that this is going to be a different way of being a college coach.
Yeah, it's that's kind of what I'm getting. It's a lot of like, does he really want to do this, or what is going on? Others are, I think, a little like, yeah, that could work. A lot of blowback. I mean, he's got Michael Lombardi coming in as general manager. So general manager in the, NFL. I think Matt Patricia is likely to join the staff. Longtime coordinator for him and head coach of the Detroit Lions. There's gonna be a lot of experience. He's bringing his whole crew. So it's interesting, but there's definitely some blowback. Does this go? What I'm interested in is, what does this mean for Carolina, and what does this mean for the ACC, for football in general? We've seen Deion Sanders be a disruptor in terms of all of a sudden X number of really good players are going to a school that didn't normally get those players. Carolina does a much better job recruiting top line talent. They're not that far off from being really good. And does the balance in the ACC, particularly Clemson's stranglehold on the league, does this knock it off? I'm very intrigued to see what how everything plays out, and because this program is now going to get just an absolutely overwhelming amount of attention, particularly from ESPN. And I mean, they're wall to wall with it, and they're going to be wall to wall. Everyone's going to be wall to wall with it.
It's like Deion with Fox, almost.
Yep.
Yep.
That was Deion with Fox. They're great, and the amount of attention Belichick plays on the East Coast, and so where in New York there's media. It's where a lot of media still permeates from, and Bill Belichick. I know that like he will be the college team that they're all paying attention to is going to be up and down the East Coast, is going to be North Carolina Tar Heels. So how do you think that changes anything? And I don't know if that was, what do you think, Ross?
Yeah, no, I think that's I'm sure that was a big part of this, right? I mean, we're in this world where money has obviously always been important, but it's never been more important than it is now. To win is to have money to pay your players and build a football roster that can win on the field. And how to get money, usually in college through donations, and how to get donations is usually through winning and attention and marketing and all that stuff. And this is what it brings you. It just like the Deion thing. And I know a lot of people seemed like got in their feelings a little bit when people compared Deion in this hire. And I get it. Like, these are two different men, come from two different backgrounds, right? And were hired in two different ways and all that. But there's a piece of this that is similar, which is the attention that comes with hiring somebody like this, and the money potentially that comes with hiring someone like this. And I'm, I don't know what the pecking order was on why hire Bill Belichick. Hey, number one, he can manage a pro roster. He's done it. He can deal with the salary cap. Number two, he's won Super Bowls. He's just a great X's and O's defensive coach. But number three, or maybe it's number one, is the attention that we will get when we hire a person like Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I mean, the media attention for sure, player attention for sure. I think that this does shake up a pretty musty program. Carolina's always been very glamorous and cutting edge in basketball, but that's never really translated to football. And this gives them a chance to do that. And the ACC, yes, as you said, Dan, outside of Clemson and Florida State occasionally, they've had a hard time putting together, programs that people really gravitate to. Miami, yeah, but that was before they got to the ACC. And so now you've got a chance, I think, for a complete other stream of fascination flowing into your league and your league network, which is run by ESPN. And I think they will jump in with both feet and do as much Carolina as Bill Belichick can handle having them around, frankly. And that goes for the rest of us, too. I know this. August 30th, TCU at UNC. I certainly plan to be there. And I do feel a little bit for Sonny Dykes, who was the first opponent for Deion Sanders at Colorado and will be the first opponent for Bill Belichick at North Carolina. Those are two circuses you've suddenly gotten yourself involved in.
He's found it. How about this beauty in that schedule? Week 2, Bill Belichick will be coaching at Jerry Richardson Stadium, where Charlotte plays, the Charlotte 49ers. Yeah. It seats 15,000. Bill Belichick will coach in a 15,000 seat stadium.
Why North Carolina continues to agree to these games on the road in G5 stadiums.
Don't they have to?
Boggles the mind.
I thought there was a law.
Is it?
Well,
wow.
The legislature definitely wanted them to play other in-state schools, but I think
I don't know if it's a law.
They scheduled some of these road games to avoid having to pay guarantees, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cost effective.
Yeah. I thought they had to play. Yeah. Okay. It's cost effective, and that's where they're going to be. I think once it got out that they could hire him, and then people just didn't believe it. But last year, Belichick had one interview at Atlanta and like one phone call with Washington. I wrote a column saying it was unbelievable that no one was even interviewing him. It didn't make any sense to me on the simple fact that if you run an NFL football team and Bill Belichick will show up and you say, hey, Bill, how would you fix our team, our organization? He will spend a day telling you his plan. Even if you don't want to hire him, why wouldn't you want to hear his plan? There might be something in there that you're like, hey, this might be something we could take. I don't care whether it's how we scout the combine or, how we like to prepare on Fridays before games. Like there might be something. Nobody wanted to talk to him. He wanted full control of an NFL team, and the administrators, the general managers, they didn't want that because Belichick's going to come in and you're obsolete. And owners, Belichick's going to have more credibility and more power than you. You're the owner, but someone's going to encroach on you, and they didn't want him. And that might be the same thing in North Carolina. Like Bubba Cunningham apparently did not favor this hire. Well, get out the way, because once they leaked it out, the Carolina, how would you bring anyone else in? Like we were promised Bill Belichick, and you're bringing in. We did a great job here. He won the Sun Belt or something like. And the thing about, is it going to work? We never know if these are going to work. We've said this 100 times.
Never.
3 years ago, the biggest coup in coaching was USC plucking Lincoln Riley out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Stunning move. $10 million a year. Oh my goodness. This is unbelievable for USC. They just went 6-6. in year 3, and he's in a transfer portal swirl. You don't know. You never know. So is this going to, quote unquote, work? It's never really worked at Carolina. They've won 10-win season since 1997. Anything better than the Mayo Bowl seems to be working.
Yeah, right.
But this is astounding situation.
Mm-hmm. There already was some fantasizing, though, about North Carolina ending up in the Mayo Bowl, which usually is an ACC tie-in, and them winning and Bill getting housed in mayonnaise.
I hadn't even thought of that. That will end.
Yeah.
I think.
Can you imagine that conversation before the game? So, Bill, what we do with the winning coach is like, no. Okay.
I think it'll end. I'm interested in all the little parts of the job that Belichick will like. Yeah, how much access is there? These colleges, they like their in-house media is everywhere.
Right.
I don't, but you kind of need it for recruiting.
Yeah. How much do you put up with that? Hey, Bill, we're having a athletic department-wide head coaches meeting. No. Hey, Bill, there's a Carolina Endowment Foundation fundraiser. No. There's going to be a lot of staff making appearances, I think, at those things.
Yeah. It'll be pretty interesting. All right. Well, like I said, we had a long talk the other day. It is here. It is good news for our podcast. It is a win for our podcast. It is content. We did not think we would be talking this much.
See, you kind of think karmically, Dan, like the Connor Stallions door closes and the Bill Belichick door opens.
Content Stallions was good for us. Yep. Yeah. It's kind of faded out.
In many other coaching, to segue, Dan, many other coaching content, like, which would be the top story if Belichick hire wasn't made, Rich Rodriguez returning to West Virginia.
Getting the band back together.
There you go.
Friggin' Back to the Future week. We got Scott Frost going back to UCF and Rich Rodriguez going back to West Virginia.
I can't quit you. It's a love affair. Let's start with Rich Rod. Incredible success when he had it going at West Virginia. Wasn't for that epic defeat to Pitt. He was headed to a BCS title game. Then he turned down Alabama. It's amazing. Took Michigan. Never worked. Was at Arizona. There was a few.
Did pretty well at Arizona.
Did pretty well. Was there some shenanigans? A few shenanigans got him. I can't remember.
There were shenanigans.
The old shenanigan gets you. Belichick, he's like shenanigan proof. He's showing up with his shenanigan. So get that out of the way.
He brings the shenanigans.
He brought the shenanigan. Then Rich Rod had to do a little penance down at Jacksonville State, and now he's back. What's up, Ross? What do we got here?
Yeah.
I love it.
I know. It was quite an interesting search. I think they did around 20 interviews and on Zoom, and then flew around and saw a few people. And, it was a similar pool of people that was for the UCF job, and maybe some that were also interviewed at Carolina, like Army coach Jeff Monken and Penn State offensive coordinator Andy Kotelnicki, and Barry Odom, of course, who was hired early on by Purdue, kind of taken out of the pool. And that kind of, when that happened, Dan, I think that kind of left West Virginia with those options I'd mentioned earlier when Barry Odom was kind of off the table. And I think there was a lot of pressure around West Virginia, boosters, board members, that this was the right move, and that Rich would bring not, again, going back to the money, right? Going back to the money and the attention and all that stuff, that Rich would bring that. And I think from an athletic director perspective, I'm sure Ren Baker saw a chance to make a hire that again would lead to an increase in resources, but also hire a guy who knows how to win there. He's won there before, and who won at Jacksonville State in his last stop pretty well. And So it should be fascinating because Dan, I was talking to a few people that are from there and know that state very well. And the thinking was that 60% of the people in West Virginia had forgiven Rich Rod for leaving in the way he did, and 40% had not. So
there was a poll?
That could be. There might have been a poll. There might have been a poll taken. So that was the sentiment, that there's still very much a split decision on how he left. Because you'll remember he left, and the way he kind of did it, there was a lawsuit filed. It got pretty ugly.
Oh, it was ugly. I remember it distinctly, and I just rarely do you see such a demarcation in fortunes in a single game for West Virginia and for Rich Rodriguez as happened with that Pittsburgh game. It was 13-9 loss at home to a bad Pitt team, and everything that happened afterwards kind of just snowballed against Rodriguez and against Pitt, West Virginia as a program. But after Rich Rod left, and he was on the cutting edge of spread offense and really an early adapter of some of the stuff that you could do with that. And his last 3 years at West Virginia, he was 32-5 with Pat White and Steve Slayton, and running a really, athletic, speed-oriented run game there. And then he goes to Michigan and bombs, but comes back and proves he's a really good coach and has stood the test of time and can adapt. And you won at Arizona, 43-35 there. And then just 27-10 at Jacksonville State, and running the hell out of the football. And, if he can win in those places, he can go back and win again, I think, at West Virginia. And I said before on a previous show that if you're Ren Baker, the athletic director there, a pretty smart, astute guy, but you had to fight through some blowback to say, no, we are getting rid of Bob Huggins, state treasurer. Some of those same people, if you want to kind of get them back around on your side, hire another state treasurer. The 40% that didn't like Rich Rodriguez for leaving, they'll come back around when they're 9-3.
Beat Pitt. And hold some grudges down there, man. Hold some grudges in West Virginia. It's real. Well, they got that NIL beer of theirs.
They do. They got the PRT. They got a lot going on.
Something tells me, Dan, I haven't looked at the West Virginia schedule yet, but something tells me I'll be making the drive over to ride the PRT, maybe with Rich Rod. Can I ride the PRT with Rich Rod during the off season, or maybe even
that could become your thing
next season? Maybe
Although the last guy got kneecapped after you did it, so maybe
that's right.
But you know what? Think about it, Ross. So like ESPN basketball, Jay Billis's thing is to walk the court and talk to some player or coach.
Yeah, there you go.
That could be your thing, is to ride the PRT and interview the football coach.
Ride the tiny train.
Go. Maybe could I maybe have a beverage while I'm riding?
Why not?
Yeah, I know. Why not? I mean, he's a PRT. Remember, I told you all the things that those security guys have seen on camera in the PRT.
Yeah, just drink a beverage. Don't do the other stuff.
Don't do the other
this
stuff.
Is a family show.
I'll stay away. So, but West Virginia schedule, they open with Robert Morris, and they play at Ohio, which is odd. And then look at this one.
Pitt.
They host Pitt in the backyard brawl. And guess what the date is? September 13th, 9-13, the score of the game of 2007. That blew it up. So I think I'll be going to the 9-13 backyard brawl.
Wow. You're going to be unpopular. You're going to be loosely opinionated. All right. One of the other hires, there's a bunch we'll get to over the course of time, but we'll definitely get to this one. Barry Odom leaves UNLV, goes to Purdue. Odom did, he was at Missouri, was not horrible at Missouri, did fine, got to UNLV, things started clicking. Now he's going to Purdue. Interesting thing to me, considering what we saw at Purdue's rival Indiana with Kirk Cignetti, shows up from James Madison and brings a lot of James Madison players with him. That UNLV team was better than Purdue. There's a lot of guys on UNLV could play for Purdue. How many of those guys come with them? is that part of that trend where you hire not just a coach, but all the talent that he has some access to, especially in this case, a little bit like Cignetti got a bunch of guys from the South. Could Barry Odom bring in not just UNLV players, but some other guys from out west to come with them, and all of a sudden, bang, you're back.
Yeah, no, I think that's entirely possible. I mean, and I don't know what the sell was from Odom about that, but it would stand to reason. I mean, if those guys liked playing for him and they want a shot at a quote unquote bigger program, there's 19-8 there. I don't know how many of the guys on the UNLV team Odom recruited. That was one thing. Cignetti had been at James Madison long enough so that he recruited all those guys that went with him to Indiana. But still, I would think there would be a good chance to potentially transfer some of that over. And that was, one of the things in basketball, like when Josh Schertz left Indiana State and people were trying to get him, and it was like he had a starting 5 of really good dudes, and I think he got 3 of them to go with him to St. Louis U, and 2 of them went to Texas. And so, I mean, if you're a guy that's got a roster and the roster wants to go with you, that makes you that much more marketable.
Yeah, this was Barry Odom was kind of the guy in a lot of these searches. We talked about him in West Virginia too. He was like hot, outside of John Summerall, was kind of the hot G5 coach to hire, and a lot of people are surprised that he accepted the Purdue job, and that he didn't wait another year, because next year's cycle is going to be pretty busy. And the same thing happened this year with Jamie Chadwell at Liberty. He was in the mix for some jobs and maybe decided not to do it. And a lot of people thought Barry would wait. But Dan, Purdue still has that Big Ten money. And I believe it was $6 million. I can't remember if it came out. His salary was $6 million a year. It's going to be somewhere around there if it didn't come out, I believe. And that's a lot of money. And so I know I get that's hard to pass up, but that is a tough job in a very hard league. And the path to this college football playoff pretty much can't be more difficult than being Purdue in the Big Ten.
In theory, absolutely. But Curt Cignetti just got there at Indiana.
Yeah, it's true.
1 year.
Yeah,
it's true.
Also, $6 million will go a little ways down there in Lafayette.
That's right.
Yeah. You can go to the Seven Irish Brothers pub or whatever. That's a great place, tavern. Good spot in West Lafayette.
I think, didn't I agree that I had to agree there is a West Lafayette because they made the Final Four or something?
Yes.
All right, there is
you had
a
to
West
agree to
Lafayette.
that. We know you're never getting off the biggest drum.
Well, that's just not true. There isn't the drum. The Koreans have bigger drum. I'm not going to disrespect South Korea.
Why would you?
Why would I? I love the South Koreans.
Clearly, look, they'll declare martial law and go after you.
Yeah, so. I'm not so sure I like this part. I'm not sure what's going on over there. It's one of my favorite countries.
Yeah,
Ireland and South Korea, my 2 favorites, mainly because they like to drink a lot and they're very friendly. They remind me. Maybe I'm the only person that thinks those 2 groups of people are the same, but it's very similar to me. All right, we're going to be back with this Ohio representative fighting crime. Representative Josh Williams fighting crime in Ohio through the legislature. Talk to you in 1 minute here. So Rep Josh Williams, his district has part of Toledo in it. He's a state representative in Ohio, and he has proposed a bill that would make an attempt to plant a flag. It's called the Ohio Sportsmanship Act, and it would reads like this: no person shall plant a flagpole with a flag attached to it in the center of the football field at Ohio Stadium. I think we can already see the problems here. But in the center of the football field at Ohio Stadium of the Ohio State University on the day of a college football competition, whether before, during, or after the competition. Whoever violates this section is guilty of a felony of the 5th degree. He is trying to make it a felony for the Michigan players or anyone else, Baker Mayfield, one-time Ohio resident, of planting a flag. Pat, I know you're on the side of law and order. Your thoughts on this bill?
Yes, I did advocate that you should not take your flags out there. Either leave them back at your campus or put them away before the end of the game. But this might be a little bit far, Dan Wetzel. I'm not sure we can craft bills calling for felony counts. Could you imagine, the number of Michigan players they'd be taking into booking and all of the mugshot
I think they
pictures?
can. I think that's why they came up with this law.
Yeah.
They can think of it greatly.
Get them out. Can't beat them. Can't beat them.
Arrest them.
That's
there
right.
You go.
Can't beat them. Arrest them. The new slogan there in
That's
Columbus.
Right. And make the bond or the parole or the bond some ridiculous amount they can't even get out for their bowl game. That'd be great.
Yeah.
No.
Perfect. Perfect.
Mr. Ellison would step in on the bond. We got that.
Yeah, right.
Michigan. There is no sum that Michigan cannot pay.
By the way, just related to this, I saw Ross Bjork this morning was on a 97.1 Morning Juice, Dan.
Yes.
There, I guess in Columbus, huh?
Yep, that is their station.
He was asked, regardless of what happens in the playoffs, will Ryan Day be on the sideline next year? He said, absolutely. Him and Ryan Day have hit it off.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And he mentioned on the show, apparently, according to this post by the station, he mentioned that people have been fixated on the end results and a championship or bust mentality. But there's more to it than that, Dan.
Is there? What? What is there more to it?
I'm not sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's nice. They're getting along. Yeah. That's a sweet story.
It's great.
Okay. It's like one of them's using their nose to move the little meatball over the other side there.
Very good.
What a nice, sweet story. Who cares if you get along? Are we going to win?
Let's hear from the Schottensteins and the Wexlers how they feel about being almost good enough to almost do something.
You know why people think that there's the only thing is to win it all? It's because of Ryan Day and Urban Meyer. You can't now switch up. You cannot give these speeches. We cannot lose to Michigan, and it will never happen again. Like you're summoning you're Churchill trying to summon the battle, the spirits of Londoners as they get bombed. You cannot do that and then go, it's really about relationship building with the team.
Yeah.
Our players have internships in the summer. There's a lot of life skills here. You can't, it's one or the other. You can't totally disrespect your rival with this preposterous concept that you are not allowed to lose to them. I feel bad for Ryan Day on this one. This rep is not Ryan Day and Ross Bjork or anyone who has anything to do. And so they're getting dragged everywhere for being soft because obviously this law is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
Oh, my God.
Okay. It's not a felony to plant a flag. First off, A, define plant. You can't even get it in the ground. And B, only center. We're going to have geo. I mean, you can get, I'm not even a lawyer. I can get anybody out of this. Define the center of the field. But it's embarrassing. It makes them look the same thing as, they're whining about this, crying about this, that. This is the last thing they need was this dumbass bill proposal that went, and, to the general public, it's going to be like, Ohio State wants to arrest people who, it didn't come from Ohio State, but that's how it played out. This was a gift to Michigan. I would have thought this was a Michigan lawmaker. I watched a video of the guy. He said his mom's a Michigan fan, but he's an Ohio State fan. He was in favor of firing Ryan Day, this rep, on the field at the end of the game. No flag planting, but a firing.
There you go.
So this guy isn't prone to overreactions at
all. No, not at all.
Want to fire the coach on the field after the game and arrest the Michigan players for their celebration.
Level-handed lawmaker from Toledo.
Yeah, good.
Salt of the earth. Middle America. Go Bucks. I don't know whether he's going to be back or not. I assume. I mean, what else would he say? We're going to read. Right. I mean, you got to say it.
Yeah. You can't say. Yeah. Could you imagine if he said, "You know what? If we lose at home to Tennessee in the first round, I'm probably going to fire him." That might create some headlines. Maybe, Dan. We may be talking about that one.
This is one of those situations where until the season is over, everything everyone says is fungible, negotiable, and deniable later.
And the season is a long way from being over. It's the longest season we've ever had in the history of college football, right? January 20th. National championship game.
If the season ends in 9 days, for the Buckeyes,
their season,
then we start getting some answers.
That's true. But Dan, I don't want to give away too many of my picks at Yahoo that we did. We filled out our bracket, bracketology. But I think Ohio State's season is going to last a long, long time.
I would not be surprised
wink,
at all.
Wink. Yeah.
I would not be surprised. That's just the thing. These are all self-inflicted like chaos. Yeah. Ohio State has an incredible football program.
Yeah.
Maybe the top 3 in the country.
Yeah.
They haven't won the number of titles, but like everything about the program, other than this Michigan situation, is great. They win, they sell out. It's fantastic. They make money. They got star players, NFL draft picks. It's awesome. Ohio State football is awesome. Yet, because they've put too much importance and like dismissiveness, again, just relax. Say the name. What's the name of the state north of you? It's okay to say it.
It is. Yeah.
TTUN, man.
The rival.
It's okay if somewhere on your campus in a janitor's closet there's a cleaning product with an M on it that isn't X'd out. You're allowed.
They're going to X out. Dan, are they going to X out all the T's in Columbus now before Tennessee's arrival? X out all the T's.
They seem to have perspective on the other stuff. It's just this one. That would be tough too, though. It would be easier if Michigan, like if you're playing Xavier, right?
Yeah.
Something like
X
that.
out all the X's.
Yeah, we got the X.
You can't really X out an X.
That's a good point, though. That wouldn't work. Yeah. All right. I didn't think that through. Anyway, now you got lawmakers embarrassing you. You got, oh my goodness. I think they could absolutely win the national championship if they would just chill and play some football.
Chill the F out.
This is a fascinating time in this sport. This is really interesting.
The most fascinating.
What is going to happen to Ryan Day? Yeah. What the hell Bill Belichick's coaching here? Like, there's so much happening. The sport is fantastic right now.
They're paying players.
Yeah. Just do it. All right. MAC teams are going to the Mountain West, Dan. Oh. Northern Illinois.
We might have to do. That's what I was giggling about. It wasn't you. You weren't making me laugh. But there was a comment. That was sent to me, and it's hilarious. So let me give our listeners a little bit about what's going on.
MAC betrayal.
Yeah, Northern Illinois' board meets today. Probably by the time this posts, they will have met, and they're expected to potentially vote, but certainly discuss Northern Illinois football going to the Mountain West as just a football-only member, and then moving their other sports to somewhere else, maybe the Missouri Valley, but that's not all settled. And there does seem to be optimism that they will move their football program to the Mountain West. And the comment is typical realignment, right? When people get pretty worked up with realignment moves and breaking up historic leagues. And the comment is, here's a topic. Northern Illinois is neither mountainous nor is it Western. Discuss. Love it. Yes, we should discuss that. Yes, it's true. It's true.
DeKalb is elevation is 879.
I'm kind of surprised it's that high.
It's a
Having been there.
Yeah, that is true. You get to stand on a soup can and you can see all the way to Iowa, man.
and mountainous nor western.
No, there's the western front of the MAC. My MAC people, they'd be more offended if Toledo left. Northern Illinois always felt a little fringy. They're out there. Go ahead.
But the MAC has said, we don't want your other sports either, buddy.
No, you gotta stand strong.
Somewhere else.
Got to stand strong.
They are not willing to keep the basketball and the other sports. So that's kind of a topic of discussion, is where the other sports go, and it may hold up some things. So we'll see.
All right, we'll be back. We got to talk about paying a player. We got to talk a little bit of basketball recruiting. All right, fascinating story here out of basketball. Number one recruit in America is a kid named AJ Dybantsa. He is originally from Massachusetts, but he played prep school, Prolific Prep, which is California, and then now he's at a Utah prep school. I think it's called Utah Prep. Who knows? I
believe it is.
These schools pop up. They pop up. And he just committed to BYU, Brigham Young. He is going to become a player at BYU, which is, needless to say, not where the number one player in America generally tends to go. Massive NIL package. A really good story by Matt Norlander on CBSSports.com about this. And he talked to his business advisor about this, said BYU, North Carolina, and Alabama all offered approximately $5 million for him to go play, which would presumably be one season. Some reports have it as high as $7 million. There's another $1 million, he thinks, in Nike and some other, what would they call that? Real NIL? What do they call it?
Real NIL, yeah.
Or something like that. Allowable NIL. Anyway, there's another $1 million there. So this kid's going to make a ton of money to play basketball and then presumably go off to be a lottery pick. And needless to say, people are kind of flipping out, which I kind of find funny that, did BYU's just buying players now and all this. Basketball recruiting cracks me up that anyone could be outraged over anything when for 40 freaking years, the players were chosen, not all of them, but a high percentage of players were told where to go by Nike and Adidas.
Yeah.
That apparently is now preferable. This is crazy, but that was okay. You know when they call them blue bloods? That just means they had a good sneaker deal.
That's right.
That's what a blue blood was. Preferred program of Nike and or Adidas. Or Adidas. They didn't both like the same one. So all of a sudden now people are outraged. I mean, they've always been outraged by college basketball recruiting, I guess. But Pat, $5 to $7 million for one player, though. Little wild. That's a lot.
That is a lot of money for a guy that's going to be there 1 year. I mean, that, in college football, you could also have a guy there for 1 year, but he's got to play 3 years of college. And so you have a better chance of having somebody you've invested in for 3 years, where in basketball, they only have to play one. And then they're, if they're this kid, if they're AJ Dybantsa, they're out of there. So it's an incredible expenditure. But it's fascinating to me that he chose BYU and that BYU can get in the mix for somebody like this, which is another sign, I think, of the new era that people, if you got some money, you got some boosters, you can put up a package comparable to a blue blood school. And it's fascinating, because again, the NIL Cassandras, when all this was coming about, was, they're all just going to go to Kansas and North Carolina. That's all they're going to do. And then football, they're all going to go to Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State. And it's not the case. And so it's refreshing. It's intriguing. The coach at BYU, Kevin Young's an NBA guy. And is already running a very NBA kind of style there. And they've got a kid, a 6'9" point guard from Russia, who's probably going to be a lottery pick himself. And so they've got something to sell there in terms of a model, I think. And you got a model to sell, you got some money. Look what you can do. You can get the number one player to go to BYU. It's fascinating.
Ryan Smith, who owns the Jazz,
Yeah.
and the
right.
the NHL team there that doesn't have a name, and
Yeah.
Real Salt Lake. They just call it Utah Hockey Club. Yeah, he's believed to be the main and a BYU alum. So it's a different type of buying. Go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, it's a good point by Pat. That's the point I would make, is that it's a good indication of the changing kind of landscape of college athletics, where if you have a good donor base, you're going to be able to put together a good roster and win on the field. We talked about it with SMU. We've talked about it off and on. I mean, in football, SMU, and was on the phone a couple of weeks ago with their coach, Rhett Lashley, who brought it up. No longer can you look at the logos and the colors and the history of a team to necessarily determine if they're going to be able to recruit well and win. It's changing. That's changing. And powers that are programs that weren't necessarily powers are potentially going to get there because of the permitting of sharing revenue with athletes. And I think BYU and SMU are two places for basketball, football that in basketball and football too. Both you're gonna see them kind of rise from the ashes, Dan.
I agree. I'm not gonna. I mean, look, it's wild. You're gonna pay. Let's say the kid makes $7 million. He's not on campus for 7 months. I mean, this is a lot of money, and God bless. I'm ecstatic for him. Go for it. This is jarring to see. It is a disruptor. It is different, but I feel like the nostalgia people pretend like anybody was following the rules before. Why did all of these players pick these certain schools? A tradition. It's tradition. It's tradition. We literally had two trials in the Southern District of New York that put so much of it on the record that it already not really been much of a secret. These elaborate webs that shoe companies did to boost their investments. And I think people just didn't, I don't know. Like, there are even those people at like Louisville, like, didn't realize that when you accept $100 million from Adidas, you work for them. They don't work for you. And they're not going to just sit there and go, hope the team's good. Hope the team's good. Hey, here's $100 million. Hope we sell. Hope you make the tournament. No, they're going to go, hey, here's a power forward. Here's a guard. Here's this. And that's why everybody went to the same schools. So it's different. But if you're a fan of other teams, yeah, you might sit there and go, well, we don't have a billionaire owner. We don't have a guy who's going to do this. But you never had a chance before. And so maybe you do. And so BYU's sitting there going, wait, what's wrong with us? Nothing. So this kid now, BYU is other. It's a religious institution. They get the honor code. This guy's a straight-laced. He wants that. He just wants to go play ball, practice. He's not looking for parties and stuff. Great. Perfect. Go play for BYU. They got a great fan base, big stadium, right? Utah's an awesome place to live. It's an excellent school. All that. Go get them. I think it's cool. And hey, you don't have to sit there and make, deals. We had bag drops, and you got to, all the under the table stuff, and you got to risk your dad getting pinched by the FBI. And
right. Yeah.
I mean, this is just, it's cleaner. It's like, okay.
Yeah. We don't need TJ Gasnola anymore. We don't need Bill self-texting TJ Gasnola. Got to get some real guys.
Right. And those guys getting arrested for doing, right? Get sent to prisons and stuff like TJ didn't. But here's my point though with this other thing. This is my other, and I'm very interested in this watching this in the high school. We talked about the Texas Tech wide receiver from top 10 player last year, who was a big deal for Texas Tech. He gets beat out does not play much. The Missouri defensive end, number one, some people had him the number one recruit in the country, Williams Nirwani. He's a big deal for Missouri. He only plays in 2 games, basically gets beat out by older players, doesn't hit the field. A lot of money was spent on those guys. And I wonder, everyone thinks the market will just continue to flood up in money. And I think it will for a while, but there's a limit. There is a finite amount of money. And how many times is Boosters going to say, why are we taking this recruit we should just be doing what Dion and a lot of other guys are doing. It's not just Dion, and get older players. The freshmen aren't worth it. Their hit rate isn't great. You don't know about their work ethic. Are they big? Are they going to play? And I would think if you came to me and said, hey, if you're really wealthy, even if you take Ryan Smith here, maybe he's funding this whole thing. I don't know who's doing it, but let's say it's one guy. So we won't say it's him, but let's say one guy's paying $5 million and the player doesn't pan out. How do you go back to him? So, okay, well, now give me $5 million more. I got this guy. So I wonder, at least in football recruiting, is the market going to go heavier and heavier on the portal and less on the high school kids? Maybe not the top 10 or top 20, but are you really paying for player number 113 when you might be better off just trying to get that transfer from the Sun Belt who's played 3 years?
Sure. I mean, I think that, there's going to be a market evolution there, both in terms of the amount paid and who it's paid to. Because I do think you have a very good chance of your boosters who you're going to ask year after year after year to fund things say, hey, wait a minute, why? I'm not giving you money. Look at I gave you X million for this guy and he didn't pan out. And so, I'll be interested to see. I mean, like, Ohio State is committed, but they put $20 million into that roster and lost to a 3-touchdown underdog Michigan team at home. Are there people there that are like, I'm not sure I'm in again this next year, or that say I'm in, but we got to get rid of that Ryan Day dude? I mean, you're with the amount of investment from them comes an increased amount of feedback probably from them.
Well, and we see this now, or we saw that we've seen this in the past, right? When a team starts losing just donations in general, go down to the athletic, they drop, donations to the athletic department, and I would guess we're going to see something similar. And that's why it's important that when you to allocate the money appropriately, whether that's a decision from a GM or athletic director, but to allocate it appropriately and distribute it appropriately is important, not to overspend. And I think I think we're going to see athletic directors who don't allocate things appropriately be blamed like a GM in the NFL, for not for the team losing and spending all this money to lose and be fired.
Heisman Trophy this weekend. Did you guys both voters?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're not allowed to say who you voted for?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Secret ballot.
Mm.
All right. We will go from there. I have the odds for this weekend. It's been a fascinating race.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter is now minus 2,500. He was once a plus 3,500. I think that was back when I told everyone to bet him. Pod makes you money, man. Costs you nothing. I was also 15 games above 500 this year.
There's already a little bit of an accounting issue with your last week.
What are you talking about?
There. You said you went 6-0. I do not believe that's accurate.
What happened?
You picked Miami of Ohio, and they got smoked by Ohio.
I did not pick Miami, Ohio. I picked Marshall.
Okay.
You are Ryan Day in this. Is going to make it illegal for me to... It's now illegal on this podcast for me to bring up that I killed you all in this thing. Listen, just accept the genius amongst us.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Who told you to bet Travis Hunter, people? He's going to win. Ashton Genty, great candidacy. He was off the board. He didn't have opening odds.
How's that possible?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because everybody knew he was a great player coming back.
Apparently not Las Vegas.
Boise, because, nobody from Boise can be any good.
He's plus 1,000. I think those Cam Ward is going and Dylan Gabriel are going. 2 great seasons. Dylan Gabriel probably didn't get the due he deserved this year. But Genty had an incredible season. I liked the Boise fan campaign against Travis Hunter. They went negative.
Yeah. Of course they did.
Right? Snaps aren't stats.
It was unbelievable.
They're like, he just played a lot of snaps. Like, it's easy.
Come on now.
He did nothing else on the field.
Yeah.
When he got the snaps, he's standing
around.
there.
Just standing around.
Picking his nose. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And Travis Hunter's going to win this thing?
I would imagine so.
Okay.
I would say the Vegas odds are what they are for a reason, but I'm with you that, this is the most interesting Heisman race I can remember and the most unconventional and a real trend breaker. We've talked about it had become such a formula for how the Heisman got picked. It was stat heavy quarterbacks from blue blood programs and or teams that were in the top 5 or, in contention for the playoff or the national title. And that just became it over and over and over and over. And I believe this century we've had 4 non-quarterbacks win, 3 running backs and 1 wide receiver. And those that did, the non-ones that won were all, from heavyweight programs. And out of the quarterbacks that have won, really the only 2 that were from non-top 20 winningest programs were Robert Griffin and Lamar Jackson. So it had really become funneled and stacked into a certain direction. And then all of a sudden, here comes a WRDB from Colorado and a running back from Boise State. And they both had historic seasons, and they deserve it. So I'm glad to see them get the votes and the recognition. And whichever one wins, perfectly fine with me. They both were awesome. And salute to the other 2, the other quarterbacks that are there too, Dellenger and Cam Moore. They had great seasons too. But I'm just refreshed to see in a year of all these other refreshing, interesting changes in the sport, the Heisman Trophy, refreshing and interesting.
Mm-hmm. One player kind of that I thought might squeeze in there is Tyler Warren, the tight end at Penn State. He was the one that was kind of, I guess, maybe on the outside looking in there. It's too bad because he's an incredible player who we'll see, obviously continue to play in college in the playoffs here.
I hope he gets his due during the playoff with some high profile. He is such a talent.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And I get why Heisman, the Heisman Trust says, like, you have to score a certain number of votes percentage to become a finalist. And instead of having 5, some years there's only 3 guys up there. And I like that. I get it. And I like it. It's sort of, though, you kind of wish just it would be an honor to be one of the 5 there.
Sure.
Right. I think he would go and know I'm not going to win. I don't think Dylan Gabriel thinks he's going to win, I assume. But it's still cool. You get to go to New York. It's right down Lower Manhattan. It's a great experience. And it's sort of like being nominated for a Academy Award or whatever. You can at least say you did that. And that's certainly something that that's deserved each year by maybe a couple more guys. But I get how they do it. So.
Yeah, I kind of respect the fact that they've adhered to that percentage thing in spite of, because they have to listen to incessant complaining for like 4 days. Oh, I can't believe you didn't invite so-and-so. You didn't invite so-and-so.
Yeah. Stick to your guns, Heisman people. Yep. Stick to your guns. All right, quick People's Court to end this thing. I think we all love pizza, right? Pizza, pretty popular food.
Universal.
One bite. Everyone knows the rules. I want to see Portnoy go do this one. My wife sent me this. The world's most dangerous pizza. Go to Guatemala, okay?
Yeah.
You go to Guatemala and you climb to the volcano Pacaya, and you find a guy named Mario David Garcia. He's a chef, and he takes these pans and he makes a pizza, and then he sticks it on the side of the active volcano and lets the lava rocks heat the pan, and he cooks the pizza on the side of a volcano. Looks like
what the hell are you talking about?
This is a pizza you can get in Guatemala on the side of a volcano, Ross.
No.
The world's most dangerous pizza, because while you're waiting, normally you're waiting for pizza, you just standing there, not much happens, right?
While you're waiting, you could be melted with lava?
You could step in a lava pit or something. I don't know.
Is the pizza that good? That good enough to risk lava
That's
burning
what I'm
your
asking.
skin?
That's what I'm asking. This guy, he says he says he cooks it over the hot spots that lend themselves to cooking. And then He has a deep dish. Looks like he's got like kind of a Detroit style or a Sicilian. He's got a round. And then one time, there's problems. He's a quote, on one occasion, the volcano was releasing a lot of sulfur.
Yeah, that'd be my concern.
When we got down, we got nosebleeds, so we had to close the restaurant for 15 days.
15 days.
So, he's getting the tourists are coming and they're eating the pizza. There's a picture. This was in the Sunday Times of London. The Daily Mail's been just garbage lately. It hasn't given me anything. Sunday Times coming through. Yeah, there's a picture of a bunch of guys eating this pizza on the side of a volcano. So, Ross, would you do it? People's Court, good idea or just gimmick?
No.
Hot and ready.
Do it. I wouldn't do it, Dan. No. Hot and ready. Yeah. That's right. What are we doing? Right? Climb this mountain and maybe get burned by lava, but here's this pizza. What are we doing here? And I'm going to piss off a lot of people by saying this, but there's a few food items in life that, to me, if they're fresh and hot, they're all good. They all taste the same. And pizza's one of them. I know. Everybody's I'm going to get nasty messages. I know. Pizza, donuts.
Might be the most,
if they're hot,
might be the most controversial take in the history of this podcast. All pizza tastes the same.
I'm going to have to mute the replies.
Says a man from southern Mississippi.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I cannot get with you on that one, Ross. I cannot. I hope my daughter doesn't listen to this. She's a South American adventurer, and it's the kind of thing she would try to do now all of a sudden is like go to this volcano and eat Guatemalan pizza. Think it's a great idea. My concern would be, yes, these noxious fumes that are supposedly toxic that are released in a volcano, and they're going to get in the pizza. And I'm perfectly fine going to the neighborhood Bierno's Pizza here in Louisville and getting my pizza there, as opposed to going to a Guatemalan volcano. I am hesitant to go that far for a pizza.
I mean, Freddie the Pizza Man, Melvinville, Michigan, Melvindale, whatever the town that thing is. Freddie makes a heck of a pizza. Or just go to New York, Jersey. I don't know about this. I'm not going to do it, but I respect the effort. This guy, he's risking sulfur blasts. That can't be, even if you're not nosebleeding for 15 days, that can't be fun.
No.
His pizzas look good. You got to see these pictures, man.
Do they?
Yeah. Okay. I got to say, it's a pretty good looking thing. But anyway, careful out there. You can always just call delivery.
Yeah, there's other ways.
All right. It was one of our dumber, of all the dumb ones we've done.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. All right,
we did get an explosive declaration from Ross.
Yeah, that is true. It led to something. That's it.
A lava hot take, huh?
A lava level hot take right there. Volcanic hot take by Ross.
That's right. All comes together.
People, Bill Belichick is coming to college football. He's here. He's here. We could have portal talk. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway. We'll be back. We're going to be have a show Sunday night. We'll stay on the. We don't have anything to overreact to, but we'll find something. Don't worry. And,
Army Navy. Overreaction.
We'll overreact Army Navy. Fire so and so. No. And then we will have the high. We'll listen. It's playoff week. The playoff is here. This is just an astounding time in college football, and you are lucky to have us, or something like that. We're lucky to have you. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will talk to you later.